Welcome to the channel, viewers. Dr. JW Ayoub, theologist since 1994. We're in the Jehovah's Witness Cult Deception Series, episode 44. The silent structure when fear stopped people from speaking openly. The car ride home feels longer tonight for the Jehovah's Witness. Street lights move slowly across the windscreen. Nobody mentions the comment made during the meeting. Nobody mentions the tension afterward either. A Jehovah's Witness husband adjusts the radio quietly. His wife looks out the passenger window, and both know the conversation's sitting between them, and neither says it first. And that's how the silence grows, not suddenly, gradually. In episode 43, reputation protection became more important than repentance, and in this episode the pressure tightens further for the Jehovah's Witness. Speech itself begins collapsing underneath organisational fear. Because, viewers, once honesty becomes associated with spiritual danger, silence slowly starts feeling safer than truth. And at first, for the Jehovah's Witness, the change barely registers. Questions shorten, conversations become clearer, people rehearse sentences internally before speaking out loud. A brother begins deleting search history. A sister stopped raising concerns during study discussions, and an elder pauses longer before answering difficult questions, and nothing openly explodes. But the atmosphere simply tightens. The mechanism becomes spiritually, psychologically and physically corrosive, because the Jehovah's Witnesses slowly learn that survival inside the Watchtower structure may depend upon controlled speech rather than truth examination. For the Jehovah's Witnesses, a contradiction surfaces, the room grows quiet, someone changes the subject, a nervous smile appears. The meeting continues, but inwardly, fear has already redirected the conversation away from the exposure of the deception. And for the Jehovah's Witness, that is the shift. The conscience no longer governs speech freely. Fear begins filtering language before words are allowed to form openly. And eventually another realisation begins settling underneath the silence. Inside these fear-governed, Watchtower-run kingdom halls, the Jehovah's Witness may stop speaking honestly long before they stop noticing contradiction internally. And this is where the people of God repeatedly warn that concealed fear reshapes behaviour beneath outward order. Because where truth becomes dangerous to express openly, corruption no longer needs public defence. Silence protects it automatically. And eventually it survives and comes through fear. Speech restricted beneath relational and spiritual pressure. It bleeds through hypocrisy, outward agreement masking inward conflict. And it'll come through factions, group stability preserved through controlled conversation. And for the Jehovah's Witness, the body eventually carries this trauma, because The breathing changes before difficult conversations begin. The stomach aches when certain names are mentioned. People begin scanning rooms before speaking honestly. And the spiritual witness presses this plainly in Proverbs 29:25. It warns that fear becomes a snare. And John 18:20 records Christ saying he spoke openly before the world. But the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, through its Kingdom Halls, its publications and broadcasts, warns against independent discussion, warns against oppositional influence. It warns against spiritually dangerous conversation and unauthorised interpretation outside organisational direction. But Christ didn't call people into fear-governed silence. He called people into truth and accountability, into discernment, exposure and repentance under his government of freedom. And for the Jehovah's Witness, they may think their silence preserved peace, but it may have revealed something deeper. It may have revealed fear had trained the Jehovah's Witness's conscience to survive through careful speech instead of open pursuit of truth. And eventually, every Jehovah's Witness inside the structure faces the same confrontation. Was I protecting unity or protecting myself from consequence? Self-governed, theologically abusive institutional mediative systems like the Watchtower, its Kingdom Halls, publications and broadcasts, train people into controlled speech and behavioural silence, and completely collapse under any foundational biblical examination. So when silence finally breaks before Christ, what will the conscience say it was afraid to speak to him? I'm Dr. JW Ayoub. I'll see you in the next talk. Like, share, subscribe, comment to educate me. Bye for now.